And then grasping the doctrine of sin will thirdly increase your motivation in prayer and in evangelism. Now you may be saying at this point, well, it's wonderful for me as someone who knows Christ that I've been saved, but where does this leave the person who doesn't believe? Well, I've found this truth that we're looking at today to be the most marvelous motivation for prayer and evangelism, and here's why. God saves. He saves through the gospel, and the gospel has been trusted to us. And since God saves through the gospel, we have every reason to share the gospel with others. We must share the gospel wherever we have opportunity because God saves through the gospel. I expect that you have someone in your life who you love and you long for them to come to Christ, but they show absolutely no interest in Jesus Christ whatsoever. And maybe it's been like this for years. If it was down to their will, you wouldn't have any hope for them, because you know their will already. They have no desire for the things of God, and they have made that perfectly clear. But here's the good news. God is free to take the initiative. God is free to intercept a person who has no interest in being saved and simply to save them, to change that person's life. I mean, that is what happened with Saul of Tarsus. Saul had absolutely no interest in being a Christian. He hated Christians. He hated the Lord Jesus Christ. And if God had waited for Saul of Tarsus to respond to the gospel, he would never have been saved. But you remember what happened. Jesus Christ broke into his life, laid hold of him by the scruff of the neck, turned him around. Saul came to faith in Jesus. His mind was opened. His affections were changed. His conscience was activated. His heart was filled with a new desire to live a new and a different kind of life. His whole life was transformed. Now think about this. If God is free to step into the life of a sinner, there's hope for the friend or loved one that you're praying for. And when you pray, you can say, Lord, you don't need his permission to start a new work in his life. Lord, work in the heart of my son, my daughter, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my friend. Open their blind eyes, soften their hard heart, and give them new desires. Do you see how this motivates prayer? God is free. I like to put it this way. God has free will. God is in heaven, and he can do whatever he chooses. And that's the greatest motivation to pray for unconverted friends and loved ones, and it's the greatest motivation for sharing the gospel.